Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. Our next conversation is something that is so exciting because we're talking about confidence, we're talking about self-esteem and redefining beauty for the next generation. Dove Day from the 13th to the 17th of October is definitely going to be bringing that into the spotlight. And joining us this morning is the Managing Director of Unilever Caribbean Limited, Ginelle Lambie. Good morning, Ginelle. Welcome.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
It's a pleasure to have you. How are you doing this morning?
Very well. Very happy to be here to talk about Dove.
And it's so exciting because this is something that I think resonates with so many women. Dove, the campaigns we've seen over the years that have many of us has helped us get us to where we are and be more comfortable in our skin. I mean, Dove has been associated with empowering messages for so long. Why did Unilever feel it was important now to bring it to Trinidad and Tobago?
So as we know, Dove has always been a promoter of real beauty and in building self-confidence. And in Trinidad and Tobago, like across the world, so many of our young people are faced with the challenge of self-confidence. They are fed so many influences from social media, and the challenge with accepting themselves for who they are is a real one. So the Dove Self-Esteem program has been developed globally, and we're bringing it locally to Trinidad and Tobago, where we'll be going to different schools across the country, 14 different schools, to really help students learn about self-confidence, what it really is, and giving them tools to help empower themselves.
How is this initiative helping to change the reality for students locally?
So many students, would face challenges in terms of the pressures from social media, how they view themselves, the real definition of what beauty is. And, the idea of the Dove Self-Esteem program, it's been developed with the Center for Appearance Research. It is a world-leading institution on body image studies, and it has been developed with science. So it's a very interactive workshop that we'll be having at the schools, where students will get to participate in activities to help them to identify the mixed messages or the negative messaging around beauty and confidence. So we'll help to give them tools that they can use to really identify what makes them unique, their own strengths, so that they can then empower themselves to recognize their own beauty.
And this is something that's so important because research does show that if you do have, let's say, low body confidence, particularly, it affects not just your schooling, but your health, your performance, friendships as well. So it's beautiful to see that this is something that we are now seeing here, because for many times we've seen it happening abroad, but not necessarily in Trinidad and Tobago. From where you sit and what you've seen so far with your experience, do you see it fitting into our context as Caribbean people?
Absolutely. We are no different to the rest of the world in terms of what we face, not just young people, but everyone with social media as well now and the influences of the media. I think the messaging around being your authentic self, recognizing your own attributes, your own talents, the things that make you unique and special, that's really where the beginning of self-confidence comes from. And so, we're very proud to try, not just through the activities next week, but our hope is to embed this into a long-term initiative with schools across the country, where Unilever will be giving schools and teachers the resources they need, activity sheets, so that they can use these year-round with their students to help build self-confidence and their self-esteem.
It's good to hear that this is something that there are already plans for expansion, because, many times we do see things happen and then there's sort of a lull. So knowing that there's already that intention in place for the future, we see this as something that is, of course, being taken seriously and is going to positively impact the next generations. Now, speaking about, of course, schools, how many schools and students are going to be able to enjoy and participate in the program?
So this year we have 14 schools across the country. So we will be reaching hundreds of students in those schools. But like I said before, the plan is that this is going to be a long-term initiative that is going to be far-reaching. Because we see at Unilever, we have a responsibility to really help define what beauty really is. It is not just how you look on the outside, but it's about recognizing your unique talents and strengths and building on that to show up how you truly are in this world in a very authentic way.
Now, something that's also quite important with this and beautiful about this particular program is the fact that this is also backed by science. Can you share a little bit about the importance of that with us
Absolutely.
as well?
So it's not just another inspirational speech or motivational speech, but because the program itself, the Dove Self-Esteem program, has been developed by the Center of Appearance Research. It's a world-leading institution on body image studies. A lot of the exercises are grounded in science. It is interactive, so the students themselves are discovering as they go along, through these science-led activities.
Yeah, wonderful. Now, what about the response so far? What has it been like, not just from the students, but from the teachers? Because it's interesting you mentioned, that also you're going to be enabling teachers, which we don't necessarily see when these sort of things happen. So what has the feedback been like?
We've been getting very, very positive feedback. A lot of schools have been very excited. Teachers have actually told us they're not just looking forward to the event next week, but also in getting the materials to go forward. Yeah. Because again, with the event next week, we'll be able to reach a limited number of students. Yeah. The idea through providing the resources to schools across the country, so they can use it throughout the year, then gives the teachers tools they can be confident that is grounded in science to really assist the students as they go along throughout the year and incorporate it into their lesson plans.
Now, I'm going to just switch away from this and come to you for a little bit in your role as managing director. What personally motivates you to lead something like this? Do you feel that pull?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it is more than just bringing brands, great brands locally to the country. Dove is an excellent brand. We all know that. So it's more about really giving back to our community in ways that we see fit and what is needed. Yeah. It really is very much needed. Self-confidence affects not just your social interactions, but your ability to really show up in the classroom, to feel brave enough to ask questions, to be curious, and to express your own views. And that is such a tremendous part of learning. I myself feel very passionate about it. I was once a very shy student and had teachers who recognized that, but again, teachers have to be given the tools, students have to be developed, and hand in hand so that students aren't left behind.
Yeah, something that is so important. So now we're going to switch a little bit to, let's go back into a bit of the corporate side, particularly with Unilever, because one of the things that you would have mentioned is that, this is part, of course, of the thrust forward with Unilever when it comes to community. How does it align with the brand, particularly when it comes to, let's say, initiatives or goals the brand has?
So it definitely aligns very well with the brand. As we said earlier on, Dove has always used real beauty and self-confidence to push itself, to present to the world. Dove was one of the first brands that committed to using real people in their ads. It features real women, not models, no social media filters, and it really promotes authenticity, inclusivity, and diversity. The definition of beauty has been elevated and expanded because of what Dove, the approach that Dove has taken.
100%. And, as you mentioned that, we've seen over the years as well, with the standards of beauty, but also with the younger generation, being able to see themselves and what a difference that makes. So being able to go into the schools is definitely going to give that thrust of positivity that is needed, especially in a time like now, regardless of, we would have seen, again, backed by data and research, the advertising industry, let's say, of the 90s and early 2000s versus now where we have a lot of social media filters, as you would have mentioned. For you, what would you like the students to take away from this, and the teachers as well?
I think the key message is that you are enough. Yeah. You are beautiful just as you are. And to embrace your unique qualities, those are the things that make you special. Those are your talents, how you show up in the world, your kindness, the positive impacts that you make. That is what beauty is. And, we need young people to celebrate that. That is the foundation upon which they will then be able to build the self-confidence to take them into the world. Yeah.
And it's interesting because you would have mentioned that you would have been shy once, and one would never think this sitting down here talking to you. I mean, clearly you're passionate about what you do, and this is something that now comes into your work and also, again, being invested in the future. With Dove particularly, with all the campaigns that you've seen over the years and in your experience as you sit today, have you personally experienced seeing those changes and even seeing it particularly for women in the workplace becoming more empowered?
Yes, definitely. I think, you definitely see the shift in terms of how people show up. There is, 20 years ago to now, I think the definition of beauty is changing, especially in terms of inclusivity and diversity. Across all media, you're seeing it. Dove has been at the forefront of that change, and so we are, just building upon that and reinforcing that message as well.
Yeah. And before we close our conversation, what message would you like to leave with the young people in Trinidad and Tobago who may be struggling with self-esteem and body confidence?
I think, it starts from within. When you are struggling, you probably need to look within and ask yourself, what makes me me? Why am I unique? What do I love about myself? What makes me special? And what do I contribute on an everyday basis? What are these simple things that I do to make this world better? And always remind yourself of those things. Build upon those things and lift yourself up. Start with you.
So important. Beautiful words. But before we close, Ginelle, for those who are interested, where can we get more information about the campaign?
So we will be providing some more information on social media, and you can reach out to us on the Unilever pages as well. The Dove Self-Esteem project is a global project, so there is most likely information on it online as well.
Excellent. Well, Ginelle, thank you for joining us this morning. It's been a pleasure to have you and an inspiration as well, I must say.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, always our pleasure. Ginelle Lambie, Managing Director of Unilever Caribbean Limited, here with us this morning speaking about Dove Day from the 13th to the 17th of October. It's all about nurturing self-esteem and body confidence. Stay tuned. There's more coming up right after this break.